who was commissioned by the state of Israel for research, substantiates the taking of the magic mushroom by the ancient Semitic fertility cults in their sex worship, which predated and influenced modern-day Judaism. As we see pictured here, a drawing of the high priest of Israel. This is what the high priest of Israel looked like. You will notice that he is wearing a peculiar headdress. The headdress is because of the manna from heaven that the high priest consumed in their worship. The Hebrew god El was in fact a more ancient Semitic god, Saturn. And that's brought out very well for us here in Archive Orientali. Here we find in this excellent article that the Star of David, the hexagram, is actually the star of Saturn. And that's why today Hebrews worship on Saturday, Christians worship on the sun's day, God's sun, the light of the world. And there's still a disturbance among religious circles today as to what the correct day of worship is the Saturday or Sunday. Well, it just depends on whether you're worshiping Saturn, the old ancient Hebrew god, or the Son of God, the light of the world, on Sunday. It really doesn't make much difference. It's all Egyptian. If you go back not to the Bible, not to Genesis, but to the most ancient writings in the world, the Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Rig Veda, you will find that in the ancient nations of the world, they had all the same identical stories. They had the story of the young boy that was swallowed by the great fish because he didn't do what he was supposed to do. They had the story of Nemo. The Babylonians had the great lawgiver who had golden hair and went up into the mountain of God. The mountain of God was the pyramid. He went up into the great mountain of God, and he received the great law, which becomes known as the law of Hammurabi, the great law of Hammurabi. And that law was given to, the Babylonians say, their great prophet, their great man of God, who went up into the mountains, King Nebo. King Nebo, the great lawgiver, who comes down from the mountain with the tablets of stone and gives the great law to the Babylonian people. Now, of course, the Egyptians picked that up, and you will find that in Egyptology, the Egyptians had the same story. But their great lawgiver was called Meses. Meses was the great, wonderful man with beautiful golden hair who went up into the holy mountain, the pyramid, God's holy mountain. And he received the law. And the great law he brought down with the tablets of stone. And when he saw, Meses saw that the Egyptians did not respect the divine law, he broke the stones and the great law. Now, of course, the Hebrews, taking that story, moving into Palestine with their worship of their god El, then comes the story of Moses. Moses is Meses. Meses is Nebo. It's the same story. It never stops.